Casual magic is about how we can find beauty in the mundane every day. We all look forward to the 1% of days in our lives that are extraordinary, like the wedding, the birthday, the job promotion. But 99% of our days of our lives are just ordinary. And wouldn't it be sad if we only allowed ourselves to feel joy 1% of the time? Casual magic is a habit to train your brain to search for joy in all the little things of your everyday life that are casually magic. Hi everyone, welcome back. My name is Jade and welcome to another episode of Finding Your Casual Magic. Have you ever caught yourself saying, "Oh, I'll be happy when I have the perfect partner and I'm no longer single. When I finally quit the job and I'm in my dream career. When I achieve X amount of money. When I get a first in my degree. When I go on my dream holiday. Or when climate change is solved and no one's suffering in the world anymore." When have you reached a goal but felt unfulfilled shortly after? Have you ever caught yourself thinking that when you cross that finish line, everything will fall into place, only to realize that there's a new race ahead? I hope you begin to acknowledge your growth as a constant and to appreciate wherever you are on the journey right now. Today, we're diving into something that I'm so passionate about: the illusion that our lives will feel better in the future after some vague outcome or life event. When the truth is, you will carry the feelings that you have about yourself and your life now into whatever destination you're trying to get to. It is in this present breath, with the people you cherish, in the falling autumn leaves and the stolen conversation with colleagues at work, and the way that you woke up with just enough sleep, in every other beautiful little thing that makes today today. So fall in love with the journey, not just the hyped up, currently fictitious endpoint. Today, I'm actually going to walk you through a visualization to help you really feel the deeper messages of today's episode and this idea of the arrival fallacy, which is we think that upon achieving our goals, we'll finally attain all the happiness we desire, when in reality, a lot of the time, the goalpost just changes. I'm also going to tell you about some of the happiest people that I've ever met and how generally the source of their happiness is being content with the now, exactly as they are, with exactly everything that they have. But as always, I love to start every episode by really asking you to be here with intentionality and to take 60 to 90 seconds to just breathe with me. We're going to do a little meditation just to allow you to get into your body, into space, wherever you are. And I really love this vision of all of us around the world, no matter where you are right now, whether you're on the bus on the way to school or you're going for a walk, as a work break. Just all of us taking this moment to appreciate where we are in space and to feel connected to ourselves. So if you've never meditated before, I promise it's not scary. We're just going to take a few moments to breathe. I hope in the next minute you come away feeling lighter, with more clarity, and ready to dive into today's episode. Take a second to notice where you are in space. Are you in a room? How big is the room? Are you outside? What can you see? And if you feel comfortable to do so, gently close your eyes. Start to become aware of your breathing. Notice where you can feel the breath in your body. Maybe noticing the rise of your chest and belly at the inhale and fall on the exhale. Imagine yourself rooting down into the ground, feeling grounded and aware. And maybe notice if you're carrying tension anywhere in your body. If you can, try to allow that tension to release at the exhale. We're going to do a final 4, 6, 8 breath, where you'll take a deep inhale for 4, hold it for 6, and then exhale for 8. So when you're ready, deep inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. And hold at the top for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And big exhale for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes. Welcome to the episode! Today, I actually want to do things a little bit differently. I often find that lessons really sink most deeply into our psyche when we let ourselves feel them. So I'm actually going to start with a visualization, and I really hope that this really helps those lessons embed itself into your mind. But also after this meditation, you're really primed, your mind is relaxed and ready to enter it. So if you want to, you can close your eyes again, and I hope you enjoy. Begin to imagine yourself standing at the base of a mountain. The air is cool and crisp, carrying the faint, earthy scent of pine and moss. Overhead, the sky is a soft blue, streaked with wisps of white clouds. Ahead of you lies a winding trail, dotted with smooth stones and lined with wildflowers. And far, far above, the peak rises majestically, bathed in golden sunlight. It's there, waiting for you. Everything you've ever dreamed of. Success, adoration, your dream-loving partner, peace, fulfillment. You take a deep breath, filling your lungs with the fresh mountain air, and begin to climb. The trail crunches softly beneath your boots, the sound rhythmic and steady. At first, you feel light, energized. The thought of reaching the top fills you with excitement. You imagine the view, the endless horizon, the feeling of standing above the world, weightless and free. You think to yourself, I'll be happy when I get there. As you climb higher, the trail becomes steeper. Your legs ache slightly, but you press on, focused on the summit. You pass towering trees, their leaves rustling gently in the breeze. Somewhere nearby, you hear the bubbling laughter of a stream as it rushes over the rocks. And it's beautiful, but you barely notice, because you're focused on the top. I'll enjoy this once I've made it, you tell yourself, refusing to pause. Finally, after what feels like hours, you reach the summit. You step onto the flat, open ground and take in the view. The sky stretches endlessly, painted with hues of pink and gold as the sun begins to set. The valley below is a patchwork of greens and blues, serene and perfect. You feel a wave of pride, relief, even joy. But then, as you catch your breath, you notice another mountain in the distance. This one is taller, its peak disappearing into the clouds. And thought creeps in. What if that's the one that I really need to climb? What if the view is even better from there? And the excitement of the moment begins to fade, replaced by the familiar pull of striving. But now, imagine this instead. Imagine you're back on the climb, but this time, you pause. You stop in the middle of the trail and you look around. And the sunlight filters through the trees in dappled patterns, casting a golden glow on the path. You hear birds chirping, their melodies weaving through the air. The scent of wild lavender and damp earth rises with each step, and you feel the cool breeze against your skin, carrying with it a sense of calm. You notice all the little things. The tiny dewdrops clinging to a leaf, the way the sunlight sparkles on the surface of a hidden stream. You smile as a butterfly flits past, its wings flashing vibrant blues and yellows. And for the first time, you take it all in. Not the summit, but this moment. And suddenly, the climb doesn't feel like a race. It feels like a gift. We spend so much of life chasing the next summit, believing that happiness is always just one peak away. But what if the joy we're searching for isn't at the top? What if it's been here all along, in the quiet beauty of the trail itself? Okay, so you can kind of open your eyes if you closed your eyes and start to come back after that visualization and maybe notice how it felt. Notice if it brings up any feelings, if it resonated with you, if it didn't. I wrote this because that is what so much of my life felt like. Felt like racing from peak to peak. The first big peak for me was academics. I always wanted to get top grades at school. I'm always running up the study process, right? Like I'm putting in endless hours. I'm going to see my teacher at school. I'm doing everything I can to try and get those top grades, thinking that when I finally get that report card and I've got all A stars, that everything in my life will suddenly feel complete. And of course, I was very proud to have done well. I'm very proud of all the hard work that I put into it. But in reality, when I got those grades, I actually just looked to the next mountain of university, the next mountain of YouTube channel, success. I want 100,000 subscribers. No, actually, I want 500,000 subscribers. Actually, I want 1 million. And so much of my life has felt like, always having these new peaks. And so much of my journey has been learning to appreciate the trail, learning to appreciate the process, and most importantly, learning to appreciate right now. And maybe you can even pause and take a moment to question what those mountains have been for you. What are the peaks that you keep feeling compelled to climb? One way that today's theme came up for me in a more personal way is wanting to become fluent in a new language. So, when I studied in Berlin, I fell in love with Berlin and I could really imagine myself living there long term. And I just wanted to click my fingers and be fluent in German. Like, I was doing all these apps and I was learning like one word a week, and it just felt so slow and difficult and annoying. And I would just have to translate things in the city all the time. But then I started having weekly small group classes online with a native speaking teacher, and I genuinely fell in love with the process of learning German. Like, I enjoyed the process so much that I didn't actually want to click my fingers and just become fluent, because classes were amazing and I get to meet people from all around the world and attempt to have conversations in our broken German. And I improved so quickly with the guidance of a teacher correcting my pronunciation. Now I can have conversational German at almost a B1 level, which is kind of crazy to say. The language learning school that I used is called Lingoda, and this is such an honor because they are sponsoring today's episode, and they are the first ever sponsor of Finding Your Casual Magic. And I don't know if you guys know, but like, I don't make money from doing this podcast. I very much do it as an act of love and service, and I see every episode as a gift. And I'm just very passionate about the vision of having more people appreciate the beauty of the mundane every single day. So it means the world that Lingoda believe in the vision of this podcast and want to be involved. If you guys are committed to learning English, business English, French, Spanish, German, or even Italian, then they actually have a 7-day free trial. So you can try 3 group classes or a private class completely for free. And you can click the link in my show notes and use a special code, which is literally just for listeners of this podcast. And you can get 10% off and up to 45 private classes in your first 3 months with the code New Year Magic. That is NEWYEARMAGIC. And yes, I feel like a radio host saying that out loud. And if you're learning a new language this year, please DM me, tell me about it, because I just love language learning. Like, have tried to learn so many languages in the past, and it's just so fun. So good luck on the language learning journey. Viel Glück. So, as I say, a lot of my life, I have been very outcome driven, very results driven. I really wanted to set a goal and to reach that goal, thinking that when I finally arrived there, I'd have all the happiness that I desired. And it's been a slow process of unpacking that. And I think most of the time now, I'm a lot better at finding the casual magic and the joy within parts of the process every single day. I want to share a little story. So I was lucky enough to visit one of my best friends from university in Vietnam. It was back in like November, December time. The second half of the trip, I felt so insecure and so lost and so inadequate almost. And even though in many ways I'm living my dreams and I live a dream career, it's funny how our brain can trick us into feeling inadequate despite our circumstances. And I was sent by my management this worksheet that I had to fill out. The sheet was asking me what goals I wanted to achieve next year. It asked me to reflect on this current year, and it asked me, Jade, what grand visions do you have for next year and how do you want to accomplish them? And in theory, that's a beautiful exercise. But in reality, when I sat down with this worksheet, it just made me feel very inadequate. It made me feel like, firstly, that I haven't done enough this year, which is crazy. Like, as I was reflecting, I didn't, rather than feeling a sense of pride, I almost felt a sense of like, oh, but like, what did I even do? Which is crazy, right? Because I've created so many things this year. But yeah, also looking into the next year, it felt like I was almost trying to come up with goals for the sake of it. I was trying to come up with these new mountains for the sake of merely striving for something that sounded good, especially because I'd be sending this worksheet to management who are, they want me to be ambitious. And so, yeah, it created all these feelings of these old feelings of tying my self-worth to achievement. And my best friend, she was like, Jade, I can see that you're stressed. I can see this worksheet is not very good for you. Why don't you just go take a walk by the lake? And so I thought, you know what, great idea. Let's get some headspace. And so I went to this lake in the middle of Ho Chi Minh City. And I was walking around without my phone and I was just looking at the lake and I was admiring the scenery. And then this teenage boy, he stopped me and he said, "Excuse me, miss, do you speak English?" And I was like, yes, yes, I do speak English. And he was like, oh, I'm actually trying to self-learn English because they don't teach it at my school, but I really want to learn. Would you mind sitting down with me and just practicing for a little bit? And I thought, you know what? Sure, why not? Right? Good deed of the day. I love meeting people. Let's teach them some English. So we sat down by this lake and we're having a little chat. He's asking where I'm from. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm from near London. And then he was telling me how his dream in life is to travel. He'd never been outside of Vietnam, and his dream is to travel, so much so that he's learning all these languages. And he showed me on his phone, he had edited a photo of himself onto all the major landmarks of the world. So he's scrolling through, he's like, here's me at the Berlin Brandenburger Tor, here's me at the Eiffel Tower. One day I'm going to do these things. Look, like you can see that I'm going to one day take this selfie in real life. And it was just so endearing, this wonderful passion that he had for his I'll be happy when, right? Like I'll be happy when I get to the Eiffel Tower. But in that moment, I it was such a jolting reminder of everything that I am lucky enough to have, because every location he showed me I had been to. And I, don't have the visa constraints that he had, or, the currency constraints that he had. You often don't see all the privilege and the wonder and all the things that you should be grateful for day to day, because they are the when for so many other people, right? So many people are thinking, oh, I'll be happy if I could achieve the life that you have right now. And so it was a beautiful conversation, and he also had so much joy and life as he was discussing these things. And something that was especially endearing is just how much genuine joy he seemed to have for that moment right now. Where like we were just getting to have this wonderful conversation. He's getting to practice English, and he's like, "Oh my god, what does that word mean?" Like I'd love to, can you spell it out for me? Because I'd love to learn this word. And just his passion for his vision, but how he's focused on the process of every day right now, learning the languages and getting to chat to foreigners and to hear their stories to help make his vision. Honestly, he just really inspired me because he had his "I'll be happy when," and he had a "I'm happy now. I'm happy in the process. I'm happy in the present." It's just inspiring because we can have these big goals, we can aspire to the big things, but we can also find joy in every moment of right now. In learning another word of the language, that's right now. And then one day maybe you'll be fluent, but you don't need to overly romanticize just the end point. So even though it has been a slow process for me, I really do think I am becoming more process oriented in how I find and value joy, realizing that joy does not just come from the imagined, it comes from what exists in actuality, if I care to notice it right now in the present day. When I was 16, very much in my results oriented phase of life, I created a thing called an impossible list, which is a bit like a bucket list for your life. And it's where you state every grand thing that you could possibly imagine doing and achieving. And I had like literally the biggest dreams I could think of. Like, I want to write a book, I want to publish a book, I want to be on national television, I want to start a YouTube channel that has over 100,000 subscribers, I want to run a 5K, I want to travel, I want to backpack Australia, I want to visit at least one country in Africa, I want to live abroad for more than 4 months, everything I could think of in all sorts of areas of life. And so I plastered photos and quotes from my impossible list onto vision boards, onto my walls. My entire bedroom was just filled with the contents of everything that I wanted to achieve in my life. And guys, it worked because I achieved 90% of my life bucket list by the age of 21. I had been on TV, I had published a book, I had a YouTube channel with over 100,000 subscribers, I had lived in a country for more than 4 months. I was actually going to a university where I was going to live in 6 countries for more than 4 months. And genuinely, like, it was crazy to me because this was like my list for life. So many of the things on that list did bring me a lot of fulfillment because they were things that I genuinely wanted to do, and I learned so many skills and amazing things from it. But I do think I overestimated the amount of extraordinary happiness that I thought I would achieve upon attaining all of these goals. I thought that, life would be set, that I would be done, like almost like there's no more dreaming that I can do once I've achieved these things, because this is as big as I could dream for the entirety of my life. After the initial highs of so much achievement, I experienced the sobering reality of something called the arrival fallacy. There is a wonderful, comprehensive article published by Calm which states the arrival fallacy is caused by cultural and psychological influences that encourage us to link our happiness to external achievements. Psychologically, we have a tendency to overestimate the impact that future events will have on our happiness, a concept known as impact bias. And the arrival fallacy is the idea that I'll be happy when I get that promotion, once I lose weight, or when I find the perfect partner, then life will be complete. And in reality, the happiness we feel after achieving most of our goals is fleeting. And this happens for a few reasons. Number one is adaptation. Humans quickly adapt to new circumstances, which is a phenomenon called the hedonic treadmill. Once we've reached a goal, it becomes part of our baseline, and so we start looking for the next thing. And this happens due to our value-driven attention. The goal that we just achieved will slowly feel less relevant to us. I remember when I first started my YouTube channel, every single like on a video meant the world. I remember, the first few months when videos would maybe get 100 views, and if I had 10 likes, oh my God, I was over the moon. I actually vividly remember because I'd wake up at like 5 a.m. every day before school to run my YouTube channel. I would literally sit and mentally thank the 10 people in the world who had liked that video. Like, I would try my best to visualize all 10 of them. Probably 9 of them was my mum making various accounts to like that video. Very supportive. I love my mother. But I would send out this gratitude and imagine all of those people. And the difference between 10 likes and 11 likes was massive because that is a whole entire other human liking the video. But now, the difference between 9,112 likes and 9,113 likes, it doesn't carry the same weight, because as numbers get bigger, we become less sensitive, and suddenly it matters much more to me to have, 50,000 likes than it does to have 9,000. Like, I notice the addition of one more human so much less because there's just so many more of people watching. And that's really sad, how our goalposts change and how our amount of gratitude changes for what is in reality the same thing. Like, it's literally more humans liking content, more humans watching it, but you just appreciate it differently. The second reason that the arrival fallacy happens is something called external dependency. You know the saying, with great power comes great responsibility. And yes, we can quote Spider-Man movies and scientific research at the same time. If happiness is tied to external achievements, it becomes conditional and fragile, dependent on things beyond our control. Going back to that Wise Calm article, the arrival fallacy impacts mental health by creating cycles of high expectations, followed by disillusionment when achievements don't deliver lasting happiness. And this repeated pattern can lead to emotional exhaustion, feelings of emptiness, and even depression. And number three of why the arrival fallacy happens is neglected process. We focus so much on the destination that we overlook the journey, where much of the joy and fulfillment actually resides. It is a wonderful thing to dream. It can motivate you. And you exist in the process of all that you do, are wanting to do, and are trying to do. And if dreaming is only hurting you, if it's causing your heart to ache in the now as you plan ahead, if you neglect the process, you neglect yourself. It is self sabotage to not acknowledge your progress, your small, everyday moments of living in a way that aligns with you. In doing so, you're abandoning your current real life self for a fantasy version of you, one that you're putting so much pressure on to ensure that you'll be happy. The arrival fallacy highlights the importance of the present moment rather than deferring happiness to a future state. It's important to acknowledge that happiness cannot be solely tied to a single idea of life. So if you feel trapped in endless cycles with a narrow criteria on how to become truly happy, it is time to shift your focus to the now. Happiness can be found so broadly. It is abundant, it's infinitely available, and it can be found every single day, no deadlines attached, in every little moment, if only you choose to pay attention. There's actually a dark side to being results oriented. What can happen when we are being motivated only by the idea that we're not enough, that we need to keep striving, that we need to keep doing, that we need more achievements, more attainments in order to validate that we're good enough? When we don't feel happy within ourselves during the process, we are then prone to imposter syndrome. The second that we do achieve those goals, we're still in this mindset of, oh, but I'm not enough. Oh, I'm still inadequate. Oh, I need more. And that can lead us to not feeling like we deserve all the achievements that are then coming into our lives. Imposter syndrome is a failure to attribute achievements to one's inherent ability and the fear that luck may not be so favorable next time, which allows success to perpetuate the feelings of imposterism. It's actually estimated that 70% of people will experience imposter syndrome at least once. And surprisingly, celebrities and top achievers like medical professors are seen as being particularly vulnerable to this, which is interesting because I think we assume that these people who have the things we want, whether it be money, an incredible reputation or career, we think that they're the ones who are happiest, who lead the most fulfilled lives. And yet they are the ones who are most prone to potentially feeling like they don't deserve to be there. 50% of women and 25% of men out of 138 medical students were affected by imposter syndrome. Most studies show that imposter feelings do not abate with more years of training and experience. In fact, the fourth year of medical school, when students have the most knowledge, they're like the best that they've ever been in terms of, almost becoming a doctor. That was when they significantly associated with an increase in imposter syndrome compared with their earlier years of training. And it's interesting because these individuals with imposter syndrome may not actually recognize their feelings of self doubt and fraudulence as being imposter syndrome, but they do experience this fear of being found out, of being someone who actually doesn't know everything that they should. They're expected to have all the experience and knowledge that far down the line of that medical degree. And so when they're expected to know more, there's actually more insecurity, more feelings of inadequacy. And this goes back to not acknowledging the process you're currently in. Not noticing where you are right now, not giving yourself a truthful analysis, not celebrating all of your progress. You're downplaying your inherent qualities. Like all of these incredible medical students in their fourth year, they're focused on everything they don't know yet. They're focused on, oh, when I'm a qualified doctor, then maybe my imposter syndrome will disappear. But really, they should be focusing on their aptitude, their incredible intelligence, all the hard work that has gone into getting them to where they are right now. They're not focused on just how much they do know, they're actually focused on the lack. But when you have a better self assessment of everything that you currently know, of everything that you've currently done, that's where you start to have this confidence to appreciate where you are right now. And then as you go along the journey, you're less likely to experience imposter syndrome, and that confidence will shine through in all parts of the process. And I've been lucky enough to meet some people in my life who do not just focus on the lack, on where they feel inadequate, but instead really focus on the present, their wholeness. They focus on all the good in themselves and the world. I want to talk about some of the happiest people that I know. Okay, so a few years ago, I was lucky enough to study in Seoul in South Korea. And for university break, me and a few of my friends decided to go stay in a monastery. And you can have these experiences where you basically live with the monks for a few days and you have to be completely silent, no talking, no eye contact. You eat the prepared food. You have to take all these oaths. It's quite similar to Vipassana, if you've heard me talk about my Vipassana 10-day silent retreat meditation experience, but it's specifically like a sect of Buddhism in Korea. And every single morning at 4 a.m., the gong would go, and you'd have to wake up and you'd have to do, various different activities, one of which was meditating in this hall for an hour. But the second activity, you had to hike up to this top of this mountain. You're looking out on the cliffs over Korea. It's very beautiful. But then you have to slowly walk in a circle around this giant gong, like a huge gong. Maybe the whole walk around it, let's say, is like 200 meters. And you have to circle it 108 times. And you're meant to do it mindfully. You're meant to focus on every single sensation in your feet as you're walking. You're meant to notice the sounds around you. You're meant to look at the sky. But to circle that thing 108 times takes about 3 hours. And you can imagine the boredom, that sets in when you are doing that exact same walk again and again and again. And me and my friends started to do it. We're trying to embrace the process, you're trying to enjoy. But after like 50 rounds, you genuinely are just getting like really like bored with the activity. But then some of the monks started to join us, and I was amazed, guys, because there was this really old man, one of the monks, and he had the most joyous energy. He beamed. His smile felt like it could just light up the world. It felt like it could befriend any stranger. And every single step that he took as he would walk 108 times around this giant gong, you could just see he had full presence, full intentionality, and there was like a lightness in his step, as though every step was the first step he was ever taking. And it was so beautiful to witness and to see how the same thing that I was doing could be done differently if only he had like a different mindset towards it. And after my few days there, I was lucky enough to get to have a conversation with him. And again, he had this twinkle in his eye. He was so funny. He was joking with us about, oh, it's so difficult doing the 108 times. But even though it's difficult, you just have to focus on every step. And sometimes, when you stop being in your head, when you stop focusing on all the future rounds you need to walk, on all the 100 you still have to go, and you just focus on the steps you're taking right in this very moment, that is where happiness is. That is where joy is found. And that's embracing the process. Not thinking about when you've done all the rounds, but just focusing on this one. And I think about him a lot. It was very inspiring. Okay, another one of the happiest people that I've ever met is when I visited one of my best friends in Vietnam. She took me to the rural countryside to go meet her extended family. And we went for the Day of the Dead celebrations. And guys, genuinely, it was so inspiring to see how much Vietnamese people have it as part of their culture to honor their ancestors, to sit together and think about the people in their family who have passed, and to really honor them and share stories and celebrate them. And like literally the entire village came for this celebration. We were all sitting on the floor, like having homemade food and stuff that was grown in their garden. And I was lucky enough to meet my friend's grandma, her great grandma, who was in her, oh no, she was 100, she was 101. She literally was one of the healthiest old people I've ever witnessed in my entire life. Like, this woman prepares food in a squat every day. And so her hips are so flexible and open. And like, even just the way she like would sit, I was like, oh my gosh, you're more flexible than I am. And you're like 101. And she just had this brightness and life and energy. She was constantly laughing, and she's constantly going up to everyone and making sure they're having a good time. And you could just see that the way everyone looked at her was with so much warmth and admiration and respect. And I had a conversation with her through my friend, like translating, and just everything she was saying was focused on family, community, gratitude for everything that she has, being grateful for, just little things like the fruits that were growing in her garden. Like, we would have fresh star fruit, fresh papaya, fresh jackfruit. And she'd just be like, oh, it's so amazing because this one's been growing and I've been tending to this one. And it just felt like she's so focused on the little things of her everyday life. And it was like she just radiated with fulfillment. It felt like she does not need anything more. She felt so content. She spends most of the day outside in the sun, like tending to her farm and her garden, or being with her family. And just her energy was so infectious, and her smile was just so bright. And I think, again, really embodies someone who is just present. And when you focus on now and what is and what you have, rather than all the things that you want or desire, that is where joy comes, is in the gratitude and in the now. So when I was thinking about some of the happiest people I know, actually one of the first people who came to mind was my dad. My dad is the most positive man I think I've ever met in my life. Nothing gets this man down. He is like, oh my God, this is one resiliently minded human. My dad is full of one-liners that he's told me my whole life. You know, things like if you ask him what the key to happiness is, he'll say, "Oh, Jay, the key to happiness is you need someone to love, something to do, and something to look forward to." You know, you need love in your life, but you also need a purpose, and you need to have events like a holiday to look forward to or something in the future. But it just feels like my dad really loves every day of his life, and no matter like what we've had, you know, materially, or no matter what's been happening in his life, like health issues and stuff, he just always has this like genuine gratitude for waking up every single day. And he recently had an operation, and the first thing he said when I called him and I was like, "Oh, how did the operation go?" He's like, "It's another blessed day to wake up, another blessed day to be alive." It's just been really special for me to grow up around that energy, but has also taught me the value in appreciating what you have today, and that every day is not promised. You know, my dad used to say, "Oh, if you say you're gonna do something tomorrow, you're probably not gonna do it because tomorrow never comes. Like tomorrow is not promised. So if you want to do something, do it today. If you want to appreciate something, appreciate it now." And it just really it stuck with me a lot, having someone who genuinely tries to find the joy now. I want to shout out my friend Emma. So Emma is a student in the class below me at Minerva, and she is just one of the most loving humans I've ever met in my life. She's Australian, and she is someone who makes choices about her life direction based on her relationships. And I think a lot of us say that we're going to prioritize, let's say, friendship, but we don't put our financial resources or our time resources tangibly around these relationships. But she really does. Like, she decided upon graduating that her friends were more important to her than her career. She said, obviously, I would love to achieve certain things in my life, but I have a long life to do that. And it's more important to me that I walk along the path of my life surrounded by the people I love. And so she made a decision to move to New York, having no links there, like no job there or anything, just because she really wanted to be around her friends. And so she managed to find an apartment near friends, managed to find whatever job she could just to be able to spend every single day with them. She really loves writing, and she shares these beautiful captions on Instagram about the daily life she gets to live with friends in New York. And she just zooms in on like the most mundane pieces of joy and beauty that are present for her every single day. Like, you get to read about just a conversation that she had while they were making coffee in the morning, or, you know, as they were gearing up for Christmas and putting up the tree. You can read about like her just focusing on the joy of getting to listen to Christmas music together. And to me, she really embodies someone who is focusing on everything that she has right now. You know, she's not thinking, I need better friends, I need more friends, I need, you know, more people, I need more experiences, I need to travel more. She's like, no, I'm so content with the people I have, and I'm gonna act like I'm content. I'm gonna focus on them and orient my life around them. And the final happy human that I would like to highlight is a relatively new friend. Her name is Jess. I met her in Brighton. What I really admire about Jess is she is so passionate about helping people who are suffering and trying to make the world a better place. I think for her, it could be very easy to say, oh, I'll be happy when, you know, this world issue doesn't exist, or this systemic issue has been changed, or, you know, this big injustice has been solved. When you're turning towards the most difficult things in the world and you're choosing not to be ignorant, it could be very easy to become bogged down and negative, and feeling like every day is just, you know, just focusing on all the like hardships of the world. But she's one of the most optimistic people I've ever met in my life. She is literally a sunshine human. Like, she dresses like a rainbow every day. Firstly, she's always in so much color, which is so refreshing to be around, especially in the miseries of winter. But she also just has this like real brightness in focusing on what is in front of her. Like she can't solve racism today, but she can focus on the conversation that she's having today with this one person, and how potentially that little change in them from a conversation they're having now could have a ripple effect to one day help create the world that she wants to see. I just love being around her presence, and all of these people that I mentioned, I think, are so happy because they just seize every day. Carpe diem, seize the day, and they teach me to be process oriented rather than focused only on a final outcome. So, what is life changing for me? After everything we've been talking about, after all these almost case studies of people in my life who I believe are really joyful and really happy, a habit that I try to adopt every single day is to have a daily turning point. And for me, that is this practice of casual magic. So across my day, no matter what I'm doing, no matter where I am, I try to remember to pause, to literally take a second, to zoom out and gain perspective on where I am right now, and to find something to be grateful for right now, right here in the process. And for any of you who are maybe, let's say you're studying and you're working really hard for your exams and you're completely stressed because you want to do really well in your exams and you're not sure if you will, and there's so much content to cram and you're in the library. What this turning point looks like is it looks like when you're in that library and you're sitting at that desk and you're about to launch into go, go, go mode. It's taking a second and looking around that library, and you're noticing the way that the light is coming into the room. You're noticing, the hot drink that you have next to you, and you're taking a sip with intentionality, and you're almost romanticizing this very moment. You're remembering how grateful you are for the opportunity to learn and what a privilege it is, and how so many people around the world don't get to have an education like we do. Literally in 10 seconds of you just choosing to find that little joy in that moment of having this pause, you are remembering to love the process. You're remembering that right now is your life. Your life is now, it's not just in this endpoint. And that's something I try to do every day. I really do my best to never delay my happiness where I can help it. I truly believe there is happiness to be found all the time in every day. You can always choose to brighten a moment with your coworkers. You can compliment someone that you work with. Like if you like something about their outfit, why don't you say it? Like it brightens the tone of the day for everyone. That person walks away with a little bit more confidence for springing their step after they've been complimented. It's all these little pauses, these little moments right here, right now, that mean you're not delaying your happiness, that you're reminding yourself, I don't need to just be happy when I have the goal that I'm working towards. I'd actually love to invite you to do 2 journal prompts for today's episode. As I said, today's episode is a little bit different. We've got visualization, we've got some journal prompts for you because I really think it's such an important theme. So much of our society, puts emphasis on the endpoint and the goal and the final success rather than the journey now. So I hope that you can reflect on these questions and use them to guarantee your joy today. Go ahead and grab a journal, grab a notes app or piece of paper, or just answer them in your head. The first question: what part of your life today fulfills a dream you once had? So often we forget that things we're living today are something that past us would have dreamt of. And secondly, write down 10 little things that you're grateful for right now. 10 things. And you can look around you. You can think about different elements of your life. What are you grateful for right now? And I just want to remind you that you don't have to wait to arrive in order to feel pride, joy, and gratitude, because happiness isn't a destination. It's a way of seeing the world, and you can start right now. And maybe if you're struggling to feel happy right now, it's because there is some inner critic within you judging your experience. Oh, how could I possibly be happy when, I only have X amount in my bank account? Like I can't be happy right now. Like I'm not there yet. I'm not enough yet. The next time you hear the voice of your inner critic judging you, keep in mind this quote about how Elizabeth Gilbert speaks to her inner critic. There's plenty of room in this vehicle for all of us. So make yourself at home. I recognize and respect that you are part of this family. I will never exclude you from our activities. But still, your suggestions will never be followed. You're allowed to have a seat and you're allowed to have a voice, but you are not allowed to drive. Realizing that you are enough right now is not complacency, it is contentedness. And I really hope that you guys can just remember that life is right now. All the joy you seek can be found in this present moment. And I know that can feel so foreign. And I know that can feel so annoying to hear, especially if you're going through a tough time. And I don't want to undermine your struggle. It is very okay to feel stressed, to feel overwhelmed, to feel hectic. That is life. And unfortunately, that's always going to be with us, no matter what path we are walking. But joy can also be part of every path. You just need to look for it. And I promise you are going to experience so much more joy and groundedness in your future realities if you pay attention to who you are right now. Yay! Thank you guys so much for listening to another episode of Finding Your Casual Magic. If you've been here for a while, you would know that we have a few rituals to close off every episode. So, first, I'd love to ask you what your casual magic this week has been. A little moment that you can remember that was just casually beautiful. A beautiful moment in the mundane everyday. And oh my God, what was my casual magic? So many moments. Okay, so yesterday I went to a podcast recording to be on someone else's podcast, which was very exciting. And I had to go to Canary Wharf. I don't know if you've heard of Canary Wharf. It's like the financial district of London. It's full of skyscrapers and suited and booted people. And maybe this is just in my experience, but I sometimes feel like it can be quite a sterile and almost miserable place because it just feels like people are rushing all the time and like don't have time and space to be present where they are. And when I got to the train station, everything felt very hectic. But then, as I got to the escalator to go up the stairs, there were these two women dressed in Santa costumes, and they were singing and dancing to all the miserable looking people going up the stairs. And they were like, "Merry Christmas, like, I hope you have a wonderful day." And I thought, wow, this is so kind and lovely that they are doing this, and also that they are choosing to do it in the most miserable area of London. Like, these people are brave. And so I went up to them and I was just kind of like dancing, and I was like, oh my God, this is so cute. Like, I love your energy. And I was speaking to one of them, and this girl said that she literally took the day off work today to come and just spread some joy. And that was so special to me. Like the fact that humans would choose to spread joy to other humans. To me, that was just casually magic. So yeah, I'm very grateful for her brightening my day and probably brightening many other people's, and the huge ripple effect that that would have had. And now we're going to listen to one of your casual magics. And if you guys are interested in being featured, you can send me a voice note on Instagram to the page at Casual Magic Podcast.
Hi, here's Marlene from Vienna. So here's my casual magic. Last week I had a really stressful day until I went to a yin yoga class in the evening with a friend of mine. And then I went home and I looked up at the sky and the clouds were moving. And in the exact moment where I looked up at the sky after that yin yoga class, there was like a hole of clouds exactly where the moon was shining through. So I looked up at the sky, and in that moment the clouds were moving and the full moon was shining in that moment where I looked up at the sky, and I was like, wow, that's crazy.
And as always, I love to end every episode by inviting you to reflect on your past week and to use your reflections to guide an intention for your coming week. So grab a journal, a notebook, or your notes app on your phone, or if you don't have any of those, you can also just answer the questions in your head. but definitely take this moment to reflect, and hopefully it brings in some needed energy for next week. Ask yourself, what went well this week? What are you proud of? What are the little wins? And what is something that maybe challenged you this week, or something you would change coming into the next week? And then, based on this, what is an intention that you would set for your next week? It can be one word, a phrase, or a theme. Given that it's the start of the year, like I love this. I love this period so much. I've done all my reflections on last year. I'm welcoming so much newness and fresh energy. So, my intention is freshness. I want to look at the different areas of my life and think about how I can rejuvenate them with these fresh visions that I'm welcoming. And yeah, I just have a feeling it's going to be a wonderful year. Obviously, it's going to be full of ups and downs as every year is, but I just feel in a very good place, in a process oriented place. Thank you guys so much for listening. I'm so grateful that you found your way to this corner of the internet and that you listened to this far in the episode. Crazy. As always, I just want to tell you, if no one has told you in a while, that you are enough. You are enough exactly as you are, independent of where you are in trying to chase your dreams. You're enough exactly in this moment, and I'm just sending you all the love as we enter this new year, and I hope it brings you every day's joy. I hope every single day you are able to find something to be grateful for. Okay, sending you all so much love and hugs from afar. Stay tuned and stay magical. Bye!